Hello, welcome to the 1000th Author Show.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Vicky Fraser and this is my husband Joe.
Are you not Vicky Quinn anymore?
I'm Vicky Quinn and this is my husband Joe.
Hello.
Fraser. Hello.
Hello. It's chaos in here, isn't it?
It's chaos in here.
It's like a professional recording studio and everything.
It's just been... It's been a morning filled with the smell of cat piss and finding out where that smell is coming from.
Nice. Cats. Cats is the answer.
Yeah, not ours, I don't think. I think it's the bad cat.
Yeah.
The village bad cat, which is going to get driven to Worcestershire at some point.
You can't do that.
I'll drop it a vet and say, found this cat stray. Anyway, we're not the only people in the village who are having problems with the bad cat, by the way. About 4 other people who own cats are also like, their cats have been beaten up and it's cost us a freaking fortune in vet fees.
It's a bad cat.
It's a bad cat. It's been into our house, it's pissed on our furniture, it's eaten our cat's food, and it's kicked the crap out of our cats. I do not like it. It is not a nice cat. Anyway, so Joe, we're talking about book coaching in a minute, but before we do though, what are you reading at the moment?
Well, I finished The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss.
Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. It's a good book.
I loved it.
I don't know, maybe liked it a little bit less than the first one.
Oh, really? Interesting.
But it was very good.
It was kind of like 3 separate books in one, wasn't it?
It kind of was 3 separate books in one. There were 3 distinct sections.
There were. And there were really good sections. I think I would have preferred it if they'd been released separately, because then it would be like, oh, I've got another book to read and another book to read.
Instead of a 900-page book.
Yeah, it's a bit unwieldy to hold.
It's a bit of a lump.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it. And now I'm reading Girl, Woman, Other.
By Bernardine Evaristo.
Which
I have just read.
And you really loved it.
Loved it, yes.
I've not read enough to really love it, but I am finding the style a bit annoying.
Really?
Yeah.
Keep reading it.
Things that annoy me have included swapping between third and first person.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Interesting.
Like within the same topic. And it's just like, what?
I did not notice that. Okay.
And due to the quirky, arty, oh so cool lack of punctuation.
It's not a lack of punctuation.
There's definite lack of, well, there's a lack of something, like full stops and things. I have found a few instances where I can't tell whether this sentence is following on from the previous or starting anew.
Interesting. I did not have that problem.
So I'm just like, I find myself like stumbling and going and rereading bits and trying to figure out whether we've moved on yet or not. Okay,
that's a shame. That is a point to make though, is that I didn't have that problem, but Joe obviously did have that problem. And so if you decide that you want to write in a way that is unconventional, bear that in mind, because you absolutely will alienate some people. And it might not be your target audience, but the thing is, I think that book I think it's an important book, and it's an important story, and it's important messages in there. And so I think if that takes away from the messages for people who need to hear them, I think that's a real shame. Because I think that as a white man, you need to hear the stories in that book. And so I think it's a bit of a shame.
I mean, if you hadn't said it was brilliant, and I'd picked it up in a bookshop, I would have gone and put it back.
Yeah. Well, I hope you finish it, and I hope you really enjoy it, because I really loved it, and I was really sad when it finished.
Okay.
So I'll be interested to read her other stuff and see if it's similar. It's funny because that for me did not get in the way of the story. So
maybe it won't. I mean, I'm only like 50 pages in or something. So
it did. To be fair, I think
maybe it'll warm up and I'll be alright.
Yeah, I think maybe it took me a little while to get into it. So yeah, we'll see. I am reading at the moment. I'm reading A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, and having just read Patrick Rothfuss's books, it is very shallow compared to that, but enjoyable. I'm enjoying it. I think it's a bit of a shame because I think if there had been more world building that went into the book to set the scene, I think that it would have been easier to get into and more enjoyable to read, because the characters seem a little bit two-dimensional. It
felt, because I finished it a couple of weeks ago, it felt to me like a teenage movie, a movie aimed at teenagers.
You're talking about Twilight, aren't
you? It just kind of happened, and then you kind of go, all right,
Yeah.
That's over now. I'm going to do something else.
I think it's a great idea. I love the idea of 4 different Londons, and some of them are magic and some of them aren't. So I think the idea is great. The world is great. I like the characters of Kel and Lila. I just think that they're a bit thin, and I think that the book lacks a little bit of maturity and a little bit of world building that could be behind it. And people have commented on, because I put that on Instagram, a few people have come back and been like, oh, there are other books in the series and she's gone into the world building a bit more. So I'm gonna read the other books in the series, because I know that the story is not going to be finished when I get to the end of this book, because there isn't enough space for them to finish the story arc that's going on. Oh, does it finish?
Kinda.
Oh, okay. Disappointing. Okay, I mean, I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to fantasy. I'm fine with a little bit of popcorn, but I also I think for a world like that, more world building needs to happen. Because I think it's a real good idea, and I think it's a bit of a shame that I think it's not been done justice to. So
maybe there's loads of world building somewhere else.
Maybe there is. So I'm reading that at the moment. I've almost finished it. So next week I'll have something else and I'll let you know what I thought of the ending. And I'm also reading non-fiction. I'm reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I love Mark Manson. He's great. If you're not on his weekly email list, get on his weekly email list, because it's really good. He does a lot about stoicism and a lot about mindset and a lot about how to live a happier life, really, without the endless pursuit of bullshit that most of us get enmeshed in.
Is the key kind of goldfish?
I don't think so.
Because I find goldfish really effective.
No, I mean, so the inside cover says, in this generation-defining self-help guide, a superstar blogger shows us that the key to being happier is to stop trying to be positive all the time and instead become better at handling adversity. This sounds pretty common sense, but a lot of people don't do it. It's just like, toxic positivity and, he says fuck positivity. It's like sometimes things are fucked up and we have to live with it. And but his all of his writing, or certainly I've not really started the book yet, all of his emails are absolutely backed up by research and by experts in the academic fields that he's talking about as well. So it's not just another dude being like, oh, this is my guide to life.
Here's my opinion.
Yeah, here is my unsubstantiated and unbacked up opinion. And plus he's a really good writer. He's a good writer.
Okay.
So I like his approach. So I'm looking forward to reading that.
Does he use full stops?
He does use full stops, yes. And commas. So yeah. All right. Move past it. And this week Right Night happened last week.
Right Night happened last week?
It was a roaring success.
How many people did you have on Right Night?
There were 16 altogether.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was, not everybody lasted quite till the end.
Did you come back to anybody and just find them face down on their desk?
No, I didn't actually, but somebody did finish the evening with a little tot of nice whiskey, and Louise was enjoying her cocktails throughout the evening, so that's lovely. And I was drinking my Prosecco, my non-alcoholic Prosecco. Cool. Which I really enjoyed. And I did not get much done because I was far too running it and keeping an eye on the chat box and everything. But everybody else got loads done.
That's cool.
Louise had got half a book written, which is incredible. And other people got an incredible amount of work done and absolutely loved it. And all said it was really good to take themselves out of their normal daily routine. And yes, okay, it was a really late night and all the rest of it, but once every 3 months is, I think most of us can do that. Having said that, I did take a bunch of feedback on board from people, and I am going to probably make the next one 8 p.m. till midnight, which will also help me to feel less like a bag of crap the next day. So.
Sure.
So yeah, I shall probably do that. But yeah, it went really, really well.
Nice.
Yeah, really, really, really pleased with it. So and in Dingle news, we took the sheeps back to their paddock the other day because it's super muddy.
It's just been raining for days and our field is getting really squelchy.
Yeah, we don't want their feet to get poorly. To get rotty feet. And Joe's been plastering. Show them your hands.
Check out.
Good radio here, but Joe looks like a ghost with his hands.
Mashed up hands.
Mashed up hands.
Limey hands. Lime plastering, guys. It's not that hard. It's like just nailing porridge to the wall and then using the sponge to make it look nice.
And it's beautiful. Joe's doing a beautiful job. And I can make it look pretty decent, so it can't be that difficult.
It's not that hard.
The difference is, it's okay, the professionals will do a more professional job and they'll do it much faster.
They'll do it much faster and they'll probably end up with less plaster on the floor.
Yeah. But if you're thinking, oh, lime plastering is expensive, because it is, because we paid nearly £4,000 to have our first round of lime plastering done. And to be fair, I would do that again because it's a sloping ceiling and pitch, and that
would have been tough.
Would have been really tough. But to do like our little panels, absolutely, we're capable of doing that ourselves, and it looks great.
It's all right.
Nice. Okay, so we're talking now about book coaching. So last week we talked about why might you want to work with a book coach, like just so that you don't end up with dead manuscripts languishing in a drawer, and so that you actually finish the damn thing, and so that you write a good book.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, people might be like, well, okay, how does it work then? So I'm going to run through my process today. This is just what I do. Other coaches will do things differently, and that's great. So you'll have to find a coach that works for you, whose process works for you. And also, my process as well is not set in stone. It will very much depend on who I'm working with and what works best for them, because I'm not about fitting people into boxes and then making them do things my way if it doesn't work for them. I way back at the beginning when I started doing this, I amicably parted company with a client of mine because my way of doing things didn't fit him, and that's fine as well. Even if I will part company with people now if our way of doing things doesn't fit. But I made the mistake then of being like, this is my process, and this is the way we're going to do it, and it just didn't suit him, and that's I wasn't as flexible as I could have been. So, and now he's got an awesome book out there.
Cool.
Working with somebody else, I think. So that's great, because I don't want to work with people who who don't fit me, and vice versa. So yeah, people often ask, how long will it take to write a book? And my answer sounds like a real cop out, but isn't. It depends. So my coaching program runs for an initial 6 months, because I've found that is a reasonable amount of time to take someone from big book idea, or sometimes no concrete idea at all, to a workable first draft, like to a decent first draft, either ready for an editor or sometimes even ready for publishing.
Cool.
But I am not going to guarantee that you're going to have a finished book in your hands by the end of 6 months, because I can't guarantee that.
You can't actually physically force people to sit down and write the words.
No. I mean, my coaching program is not cheap, so I'm hoping that the investment itself should be enough to kick people into doing the work, because at the end of it. But what I will guarantee is that by the end of our 6 months you will have your first draft done, and it will be a decent first draft. It won't be like a bag, it won't be your shitty first draft, it will be a first draft that's ready to go to an editor.
Right.
If you do the work, and that is my disclaimer, is like, if you do the work. So I think 6 months, 6 to 9 months is a reasonable amount of time to get a really great, to get the right book for you out there and published. And yes, you can do mini books much quicker. I got a mini book out in a couple of months last year. That's a little bit different. But yeah, for a first time book, or even a second time or third time book, I think 6 to 9 months is reasonable. So yeah, how much time can you devote to it? How much effort are you willing to put in? Because it's not magic and it's not ghostwriting, and so you need to be able to put the work in, basically. But my process, how does it work? Okay, it is about more than simply writing a good first draft of your book, although obviously that is the tangible goal. You will have the book in your hand at the end of it, or the draft. But my goal for my clients is much deeper than that, actually, and this is something that I've discovered from working with people, is that they don't just become the author of a book. They become better writers, and they become more confident about posting articles and writing emails to people and posting on social media. And that's something that my most recent coaching client has told me, is like, I feel like I know what I can post on social media. I feel like I know what advertising messages I can put out there, what articles I can write, and I would not have had the confidence to do that before going through this process.
That's quite cool.
Isn't it?
That's a nice thing. So you've actually, the output isn't just a book or a draft of a book, it's a changed person.
Yeah. More confident person.
That's cool.
Yeah, more confident writer, more competent writer as well, because your writing skills will improve as well if I'm doing my job properly. So yeah, there's a whole confidence thing, there's a whole mindset part of it, because on each call I noticed a pattern with my clients, not all of them but many of them. They'll kind of start a call and they'll be like, oh, I'm feeling really not sure about this today, I'm not feeling confident about this, I don't think this is a very good idea, I don't know how to do it. And at the end of the call they will quite often say, that was great, I know exactly what I've got to do next, I feel really good about it, and we've played with that idea, and I feel like I know exactly what I'm doing now.
Okay.
And so that's the kind of thing that a good coach should be able to do for you. So I can't tell you what happens month by month in my coaching program, because that's different for everybody. But I can tell you that at the beginning we start off with. Shall I just walk through the process?
Yes.
I could do, couldn't I? So hopefully by the time somebody gets to actually have a conversation with me, you'll have read my book, you'll have, stalked me on social media and my blog and read a load of stuff.
Listen to a few podcasts.
Hopefully, yeah.
Maybe.
Listen to a few podcasts, and you'll know what sort of a person I am and what sort of a writer and coach I am and how I work. And if you like everything that you hear, then we're gonna get to the next stage, which is you're gonna fill in a 2-minute application form. I always have people fill in an application form because it saves time on both ends. And if I think we'll be a good fit, we book a call. So we hop on a 30-minute Zoom call, a free call, so that we can both have a chat about, because this is a big investment for my clients and it's a big investment of time and effort from me. So I want to make sure that you're on board with it, that we're a good fit. And then you tell me all about your book project or your big idea or your lack of it. I ask you questions. I ask you, bunch of stuff, including stuff that I will ask you again on an intake questionnaire if we decide that we want to work together. Things like what are your goals for your book and all that kind of stuff. What have you struggled with before? And you ask me questions. I will tell you about my coaching program, how it works. And by the end of that call, we will have a really good idea if we're a good fit. Yeah.
An idea whether you're going to work well together, whether you like each other, whether you're going to move forward with the thing. I think it's a good, sensible introduction, isn't it?
Absolutely. We're going to be working together for 6 months. We're going to have a call every week. We need to know that we're going to get on, because otherwise it's not going to last very long. The next thing that happens is if you decide that you are in and you want to do this, I send a contract based on our conversation, and it outlines all of the stuff that we've talked about, the stuff that we're going to do with you, sets out what's expected for each of us, and we both sign it, and then we start. I send the first invoice and the detailed creative book coaching questionnaire through for you to complete to get you started before the first proper call, which is going to be either your big idea or, if you've got your big idea, refining it and then getting an outline down.
Nice.
So the first couple of weeks is all about prep work, all about making sure that we know where we're going, who we're writing for, why we're writing, all of that good stuff. So that by the time,
what change you want to invoke in the reader.
Exactly. Yes. Nice. You do listen to me, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, it's week by week. We set writing goals for you. If you get work to me 3 days before our next call, I will review it. We can go through it in the call. I will answer your questions. I will get you past roadblocks. I will get you from, I'm really stuck, to I can't wait to get started again. And that is something that I'm really, really good at. I will also help you to keep the book on track, because it's really tempting to be able to go like kitchen sink it. It's like, I'm just going to throw this in and that in and this in. And I've got so many things I want to talk about. I'll talk about all these ideas, and your book just becomes this big bloated like monster. And a good book coach will be able to stop that from happening. They'll be able to be like, you know what, these are great ideas. Let's put them over here for book number 2.
Yeah.
Or for a blog post.
That's an article. That's a blog post. Trim that down.
Exactly. Yeah, we keep it on
target.
Stay on target. Yeah. Stay on mission. So where are we going? Why are we going there? And that's not to say that the book can't change. I've worked with people whose books have changed, and it's like, you know what, this isn't quite the right direction. We've got a lot of stuff here that we're going to use for something else, and a lot of stuff that is going to be part of this book, and actually this is the book you want to write.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing that we do is, like, I don't have a step-by-step blueprint that I take people through, because great books don't always work like that. I'm not helping people write a glorified business card or a something to wave at from a stage.
Mills and Boon. My sister once applied to write a Mills and Boon book, and they said, great, lovely, here's how a Mills and Boon book works. And it was like a 4-page document that said, in chapter 1 you will introduce this, this and this. In chapter 2 there will be an event where this, this and this happens. And it was like, it was an entire, because people who read Mills and Boon's romance novels,
they have expectations.
They have expectations, and they're all the same. They're all exactly the same, because they all follow this blueprint.
Yeah.
Whether it's horse riders or racing car drivers or it doesn't matter. They're all the same book. And
you know what? I'm not knocking them at all, because Mills and Boon, they know what sells.
Yeah,
they know what sells, and they know what works, and more power to them. And I know a few people who are writing fiction to a formula that they know works. And you know what? Go for it, because if you can make money doing that, and they are making a lot of money doing that, then absolutely. And I'm not even knocking the kind of book in a box type thing. If that's your bag, go do it. But I am not the book coach for you. That doesn't interest me at all. It just doesn't interest me. I am much more interested in working with people who have got this incredible, unique take on the world, not necessarily a unique idea, because that doesn't really exist for the most part, but somebody who's got a different take on things. Like, and the example that I like using best is Emma Dabiri's Don't Touch My Hair, which is a history of colonialism and white supremacy and racism, but through the lens of black women's hair. And it's absolutely fascinating. It's such a good idea. You've read it as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Really good idea, and genuinely like fascinating history of hair, which is so cool, and something that most people would not even think of when thinking about looking at world history.
Yeah.
It's so cool. One of my clients has done something similar really recently. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
She's just written The Doggy Doctor Surgery Secrets, in which she talks about her life as a medical doctor and how it's influenced her work now as a dog behaviourist expert. It's like, who knew that the two things were the same?
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just a different take. So none of those ideas are new. You know, writing about colonialism is not new. Writing about dog behaviour is not new. But those takes on it are. And it's like, how do you bring that in to the book and turn it into something, and take the idea out of your head and translate it for a mass audience and put it on paper and make it work? That's what I want to do with people. So that's the type of people that I want to work with, and that's what we will do in the book coaching. And that's why I don't have like a step-by-step blueprint, because it's just not going to work for that. So yeah. Also, make sure that your book coach is as excited about your idea as you are. I'm going to say that. I know I said that last week, but that's really important.
Yeah.
Because if they're not, you know, that you're going to struggle. It might be that they just don't get it. It might be that your idea isn't going to work. So, you know, there might be a little bit of work to be done in the initial call there. I don't know. So yeah, but that's really important. And then at the end of it, like, maybe your first draft is done, maybe you get the editing done as well, and maybe, you know, in the last couple of weeks or the last month I can help you get ready to publish and put it out there. That's fantastic. Maybe by the end of our 6 months together you have done your first draft and we've reviewed it and gone through it, and now it's ready to go to an editor, and then, you know, later will come that next part. But what I don't do, and what I don't like to do, is put an enforced deadline on the end of it. It's like, by the end of 6 months we have to have your book published. That's incredibly stressful for you. It's incredibly stressful for me. and
it might not be right for the book.
It might not be right for the book, yeah. So this is why I'm like, okay, it's a 6-month program and we will have the draft done by the end of it, but I'm certainly not going to guarantee that you're going to have your published book in your hand.
Yeah, that's kind of down to you, isn't it?
It's down to you, and it's also down to how you want to do it as well. And I'm just going to say here as well, because I've said this a few times, it's like, I used to think, I don't know why I used to think this, it's like, oh, I've published my book, therefore I must now launch it. You don't have to. You can launch it whenever you like. And like, from now on, I'm never publishing and launching a book at the same time ever again, because it's incredibly stressful. It's just like, okay, I've got all the books, because there's a lot that goes into publishing a book. Self-publishing a book it's not easy, and there's a lot of moving parts. And so to try and do that and launch it at the same time as well is just like, so yeah, I'm not doing that again. So if you want to like launch your book at the same time as you publish it, I'm probably not the book coach for you either, because I just find it too stressful. I've done it, it's doable, I've done it successfully, I don't want to do it again. So so there's that to think about as well.
Much simpler to have a pause between the two events.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a long pause, but just like, don't try and do the whole damn thing in the same week.
Yeah, if you're trying to sort out, if you're still editing and formatting the book at the point where you're also advertising it's available on Amazon a week tomorrow.
And you can change the Amazon due dates and stuff like that,
yeah,
but why make it stressful for yourself?
If you're putting all the adverts out to publicise it.
That is true, yeah. So yes, so yeah, that's what my coaching process is, really.
Okay.
Yeah, it's much more than, okay, you want your book, but it's more than that. People get more out of it than that, as do I. So
it's training, it's habit forming. They become more confident writers. They become more capable.
Yeah.
Business people.
Yeah.
They can be more confident with their communications, and they get a book.
And yeah, I want to help people write a book that's a bigger part of the bigger picture of their personal growth and their business growth as well. So it's not like, I'm not saying we're writing this like lofty goal kind of Booker Prize winning whatever. Maybe it will, I don't know. But it's not a glorified business card that you can just wave around from a talk on a stage. But also, it's not a standalone, this is my life's work masterpiece kind of, and it's going to stand for itself, blah, blah. I want to help people write something that fits into the bigger picture of their life and business. So it absolutely will help you grow your business. My business has changed beyond recognition since I wrote my books. And the same has happened for my clients as well. It just is a game changer, not just because of physically having a book, but because of the mindset shift that goes with it. And that goes for personal as well as business. So yeah, I'm helping people to fit this into the bigger, it's a stage in their business, but it's not a tick box. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
I think so. So what's the takeaway?
Find a coach who will work with what works for you. Find a coach who is excited about your big idea as you are. Find someone that you'll have fun with and can get on with, because it's going to be hard work. Not going to lie to you, but it should also be fun. You should also really enjoy the process as well. So yeah, you need to find someone who works for you. Whoever that is, there are loads of amazing book coaches out there. There are also people who are perhaps less suited to working with you. So talk to them, find out as much about them as possible. The good ones will be willing to have a conversation with you. I certainly wouldn't want to jump into a 6-month working relationship with someone without at least having a half hour on Zoom. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So yeah, find someone who will work with you.
Cool.
Yeah. And find someone who instills you with confidence. That's the thing. Find someone who makes you feel amazing about your book. That's really important.
Yeah. Find someone who's actually done this. Maybe read a book or two of theirs.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Go back and listen to last week's podcast again if you want more about how to find a book coach. There's loads of good stuff in there. And while we're talking about coaching clients, I just want to have a bit of a shout about Nick's new book. Actually, I don't know if I can wave it around yet.
I don't know.
No, do you know what? I'm not going to. Okay, so instead of talking about Nick's new book, I'm just going to very quickly talk about a book that I bought the other day that I've been trying to get hold of for ages, called Giftology, which is a beautiful hardback, but you can get it on Kindle or paperback as well, but obviously I went for the expensive one. It is quite expensive. It's beautiful and red inside, red cloth. It's just a beautiful thing, but it came with a metal bookmark, and it's engraved, and it says Giftology on it, and then on the back it's got engraved the kind of Giftology. It's just like a little business card, I guess. It's a little sales tool, but it's beautiful bookmark. Came with the book, so yeah, you can make something really special of your book as well. Remember that. Coming up next week, be uniquely valuable, not unique. I'm going to talk more about that next week.
Okay.
Yeah, touched on it a little bit this week. In the meantime, though, I have a new audiobook out. It's called That's What She Said. You can find it on Audible. It's getting really good reviews. I've been interviewed on the wireless and all sorts of stuff. I also have, if you're ready to write a book, you're like, I'd love to write a book. I'm not quite sure if the idea is any good. I'm not quite sure if the idea will work. Find my big book idea generator, moxiebooks.co.uk/big book idea generator with hyphens in between, or just go to the shop and that'll be easier. And if you like this podcast,
review it, subscribe,
5 stars, recommend
tell your
it.
friends.
Yeah. And we will be back same time next week. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks, Joe.
No worries.
Bye.
Bye.